this is your notes. I mean, not notes. The homework that goes to the notes with the video in regards to some more practice with the equations of circles. So I'm going to go over pretty much maybe the left side or the right side. I haven't decided yet. To make sure you're on the right track. If you did your photable, you should be able, and understood what was in the photable, you should be able to do these problems. So there's a tab for each type. So on this first one here, then we should write the equation of both circles provided the graph. So in order to write that equation, you always need the center, which we have h and k, and you need your radius, which is our r. And I'm just going to read the center off the graph. The center off this graph is the coordinate -3, 2. And then to find the radius, they have given us a point here. It's from the center to the point on the circle. And because that's a diagonal line, it's not a horizontal or vertical line, we have to use Pythagorean theorem to get that exact measure. So I'm going to make that right triangle. The legs are 1 and 2. So to get my radius, and I use my Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to do it all in one step. I'm basically doing 1 squared plus 2 squared, which means my radius is going to end up being the square root of 5. So now that I have my radius and I have my center, we're going to put that into the standard form for equation, which is x minus h parentheses squared plus y minus k parentheses squared is equal to radius squared. So after you find those information, those parts off the graph, we're just plugging it in. So basically we do the opposite of point slope form. So x now it's going to be plus 3 parentheses squared plus y minus 2 parentheses squared equals, now if I square the radius anytime we square a radical, we just get the number underneath the radical. Alright, so that's all we're doing here. So you have the second one. The next set, again, you are given the center, basically your h and your k, you're giving your radius your r, we're just plugging it in. So this would just be x plus 10 parentheses squared plus y plus 4 parentheses squared is equal to our radius squared, which is 3 square root of 7 squared. We're going to go ahead and square that and simplify that, and you should come up with the whole number answer. So really it's x plus 10 parentheses squared, y plus 4 parentheses squared, and this is going to equal 263 because you square the 3, and whenever you square the radical 7, that becomes just 7. All right, we're good there. So you have the next one. Now they've given you a center and the point. So this is when we have to find the radius. And the shortcut when finding the radius is we're going to just take the square. We're going to use the distance formula between them. I'm just going to put it all in one. So basically, we're going to do 3 minus the negative. Oops, sorry, forgot this -1. And 2 minus, subtract your y's and subtract your x coordinates. This gets simplified to being really just 4. And then -3. But whenever we square a number, it's always going to be positive. So we have really to represent our radius 16 plus 9, which is square root of 25, which is a perfect square. So our radius is 5. So you find your radius first, and now we have the radius and we have our center, and we're just plugging it into the formula. So this would be x minus 3 parentheses squared plus y minus 2 parentheses squared equals the radius squared, which is 25. And we're done. So you need to find your radius first on this set, and then use your center. Then on the next page, or on the back, they've given you 2 points on a diameter, meaning those are the endpoints. Okay, these are our endpoints to the diameter. So first we're going to do the distance formula, just like we did with the radius. We're going to find the distance of the diameter. Subtract your x coordinates, parentheses squared, subtract your y coordinates, parentheses squared. Really, this is going to end up giving me 10 plus 10 parentheses squared, sorry. So we got the square root of 200, which is not a perfect square. So our diameter is actually, we'll simplify, 100 times 2, which would be 10 root 2. So that's our diameter. Then the radius would be half of that, which would be 5 root 2. Okay, so now we have our radius by calculating that diameter. Now, what we need to do is find the center. Well, think about it. If I have the endpoints of the diameter, the center would have to be the midpoint of that segment. So now what you're going to do is you're going to use a midpoint formula. Basically, now we're adding the x's, divided by 2, and adding the y's, divided by 2. Oops, sorry. So we got negative 5, or positive 5 plus a negative 5 over 2. And we have 8 plus a negative 2 over 2. Well, this becomes 0. And this is 6 over 2, which gets simplified to 0. Okay, good. So we have our center. This is our center, because that's the midpoint of the diameter. And we have our radius, so now we're just plugging it in. So those are our steps for that. And on 5, they want you to the center and the circumference. They give you the circumference. This is the circumference of the circle. It's the 10 pi. And they give you the center. So this is important. This is important because that's the circumference. Basically, I'm taking that and plugging it into that formula. To solve for the radius using the circumference formula, then write the equation of the circle. So basically, I have 10 pi, that's our c, is equal to 2 pi r. We're solving for r. The pi's will cancel out. I think you can do that. You can mentally just see that. What would radius have to be? So I had 10 pi. And then you're going to go back to your equation of our circle. And in this section, we're trying to come up with the center. Okay, so we know that the equation is in the form of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to the radius squared. And the center is always the h and the k. So, and the radius is the r. So they want you to basically plug this information. Just do what's the opposite. If this is minus 4, then the point is a positive 4. If it's plus 6, then it's a minus 6 or a negative 6. So that's our center for h and k. And then our radius, since it's 25, you need to take this, that's 25 squared, or that's the radius squared. So take the square root. So the radius would be 5. And I think you kind of knew that already. And then the last one, which is what your notes were over, is that you would have to complete the square to solve this. So the first thing was to group the like terms. So we have our x squared minus 2x together. It's going to be added to our y squared plus 2y. And put the numbers on the other side, so it's going to be negative 71. Sorry about that. All right, so to complete the square, because this is not a perfect square, trinomial. On our video notes, we saw that we basically take half of the coefficient of x. So if I look here, the coefficient of x is a negative 12. We're going to take half of that, which would give me a negative 6. And then we're going to square that. So that would give me 36. So basically, once I do that, I'm adding that to my expression for x into the number. So that would leave me with x squared minus 12x plus 36. And I'm adding that 36 to the other side, to the numbers we have on the right. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the y terms. Take half of the coefficient. Again, we have 12. Take half of that with 6, 36. So again, we have y squared plus 12y. Adding 36, so I add another 36. And then we're going to simplify this. So I have my x squared, my x terms together, my y terms together. 71 plus, really, it's going to be 72. It's going to leave me with 1. And then now we have a quadratic with the coefficient or no number in front of the x squared, which the number really is 1. But now we can factor like we've done before. So this is going to be a perfect square trinomial. All we have to do is take the square root of that last number and use that sign that's between the x squared and the 12x. So this is going to be x minus 6 parentheses squared plus y plus 6 parentheses squared is equal to 1. And that is our equation of our circle. It's in the form of x minus h parentheses squared plus y plus minus k parentheses squared equals r squared. So from here, we should see that the center, oops, that's horrible. I apologize. The center of our circle is 6, -6, and the radius is 1. Alright, so that should help you. Do the next one. If you need some assistance, go back to that video. We're checking this on Monday. Have a good weekend. Thanks. Bye.